And it came to be when Moshe had completed writing the words of this Torah in a book until their completion, that Moshe commanded the Levites who bore the Ark of the Covenant of Yehovah, saying, "Take this book of the Torah, place it beside the Ark of the Covenant of Yehovah your Elohim, and it shall be there as a witness against you." Okay, and we can see the Torah placed beside the Ark of the Covenant as being like the Torah and our hearts. Okay, it says that it shall be as a witness against you. It can also be as a witness for you, but he's talking here to these people who he has been warned will turn against Yehovah. "For I myself know your rebellion and your stiff neck. See, while I am still alive with you today, you have been rebellious against Yehovah. Then how much more after my death?" Okay, so place the Torah next to the Ark of the Covenant is going to be a witness against you. As I've said, the law can either be a witness for us or a witness against us. If the law is written on our hearts, fleshly hearts, then it is a witness for us that we are those who Yarei Yehovah. But if it's written on a heart of stone, then it will bring death, and it is a witness against us. It's a ministration of death, as Paul says. In 2 Corinthians 3, 2-8, it says, "You are our letter, having been written in our hearts, known and read by all men, making it obvious that you are a letter of Messiah served by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living Elohim, not on tablets of stone, but on fleshly tablets of the heart." And such trust we have toward Elohim through the Messiah. Not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from Elohim. If we Yarei Elohim, if we worship him and we walk in his ways, then we are competent. "Who also made us competent as servants of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life." But if the administering of death in letters engraved on stones was esteemed so that the children of Israel were unable to look steadily at the face of Moshe because of the esteem of his face which was passing away, in other words, those Israelites had the letters of the Torah written on hearts of stone, and that was glorious. How much more esteemed shall the administering of the Spirit not be? Okay, so if you allow the Spirit to write on your heart, how much more glorious is that? The law by itself is glorious when you are being disobedient to it. And that will bring death to you because you have a heart of stone. How much more glorious is the law when it's in full effect in somebody's life, when it has been written by the Spirit on their heart. Galatians 3:21-22 says, "Is the Torah then against the promises of Elohim? Let it not be. For if a law had been given that was able to make alive, truly righteousness would have been by Torah. But we know from Abraham that his faith was accounted to him as righteousness." Yehovah wants to give people grace if they have faith in him. But in fact, all people have sinned and fallen short of the esteem of Yehovah. And all the Torah can do on its own is declare you to be a sinner. It's a witness against you. But the scripture has shut up all mankind under sin, that the promise by belief in Yeshua Messiah might be given to those who believe. Okay, so all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of Elohim. The scripture has stood against all people and declared all of them to have fallen short of Elohim's glory, so that Elohim can give the promise by belief in Yeshua Messiah. It's of Elohim that salvation comes, not of us. In our state where the law is a witness against us that we have failed and that we are in a state where we will perish, there's nothing that we can do in that state to save ourselves or to save anyone else. It requires belief in Elohim. Romans 7:7-14 says, "What then shall we say? Is the Torah sin? Let it not be. However, I did not know sin except through the Torah." So Paul explains what he's saying here. The Torah defines sin. "For also the covetousness I knew not, if Torah had not said, you shall not covet. But sin, having taken occasion through the command, did work in me all sorts of covetousness. For apart from Torah, sin is dead." So sin was within each one of us. And sin is deceitful. The deceivableness or the deceitfulness of sin. And the Torah pronounces that we are guilty. It is a witness against us. So the sin that works in us deceives us so that we put ourselves in a position where the word of Elohim witnesses against us and we are under the death penalty, so to speak. "And I was alive apart from the Torah once, but when the command came, the sin revived and I died." Okay, so if there was no Torah, then any actions that we did would not entail death upon us. The thing which entails death upon us is the Torah. The Torah tells us, if you do this, you will die. We wouldn't die without the Torah, because that is what defines whereby we will die. Without that, we wouldn't die. It doesn't mean that the Torah itself is a bad thing. It just means that Elohim's proclamation of what sin is within the Torah. The command which was to result in life, this I found to result in death. So when Elohim gives the Torah, he doesn't give it to kill people. He gives it to bring life. That's what the command is actually for. But sin which works within us deceives us, and by the power which is in the Torah pronounces death upon us, because we sin and then we're under death. "For sin, having taken the occasion through the command, deceived me, and through it killed me." Not that the command's a bad thing. The command was supposed to result in life. But because sin deceives us and we sin, because that command has power and entails death upon us, that means that we're under the death penalty. So that the Torah is set apart and the command set apart and righteous and good. "Therefore, has that which is good become death to me? Let it not be. But the sin, that sin might be manifest, was working death in me through what is good, so that sin through the command might be rendered as sinfulness," or exceedingly sinful, however you would translate that word. So sin uses the sin which is within us that we are to master, as we're told in Genesis 4. That takes what is meant for good, what is to instruct us as to life, and it works in us death by that which was meant for good. "For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin. So when we walk according to the flesh and not according to the Spirit, we entail death upon ourselves. We are to walk according to the Spirit, and the command which is meant for good entails good and life upon us, life everlasting."